Hello everyone, welcome to Into the Mind of Music. Please welcome this week guitarist, composer, vocalist, Dirk Alexander. Hey Derek, welcome to Into the Mind of Music. Great to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, what was the first thing that inspired you to become a musician? Like the first thing, very first thing, artist that you saw or TV show?
Okay, so when I was 6 years old, I used to watch the. I'm 50 years old, so this goes back a way. So when I was 6 years old, I used to watch the Osmonds Family Hour with my sister Barbara. Okay, my sister's 3 years older than me, and we used to love. It was like, yeah, I'm a little bit rock and roll, I'm a little bit, or I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rock and roll, and it was Paul Lynde was like the comedian on the show all the time, and he had in '76. There was the Paul Lynde Halloween special in October of '76. And my sister she said, hey, let's watch it. And it was like, real late. I loved Paul Lynde. I thought he was hysterical at 6 years old. I didn't get a lot of the jokes, but he was just funny to me. And so we stayed up to watch his Halloween special. And it had actually the Wicked Witch of the West was on. It was the last time she was in costume. And it was really cool. And then out of nowhere, Kiss comes on this thing, and
Kiss on the Osmond special.
No, but this is on Paul Lynde's Halloween special.
Oh, Paul Lynde's Halloween special.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. That makes better sense.
Yeah. And I think he comes. I think it was King of the Nighttime World, and they come down in like an elevator, and it's just I'm a 6-year-old kid staying up late to watch this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. This is amazing. And it blew me away, and I saw Ace Frehley, and it was just from that point forward, I bugged my parents. I'm like, I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. And my mother was working at she was managing a tennis club, and one of the guys who worked in the tennis club was a guitar player, and he was a teacher. And so she talked to him about getting me lessons, and that Christmas I got my first guitar, which was like it was an Epiphone acoustic. A small scale Epiphone acoustic. I think I had a Mickey Mouse acoustic before that, though. I had this Epiphone acoustic.
So did you pick the guitar because you didn't know what a bass was at that point?
Yeah, coming from a bass player. Yeah, I had no idea. I liked Ace Frehley. I thought Ace Frehley was the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life. And I wanted to do whatever Ace Frehley was doing. I thought that was what I should be doing, I wanted to go into outer space when I was a kid because of Ace Frehley,
I always thought Gene Simmons was the standout of the show, though. But I don't.
You're a bass
I only
player.
saw him one time, so I really can't say. But I've seen him on TV a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I saw him twice. I'm sorry. I saw him recently, a few years back when they came back at Hershey Park.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, go on.
Yeah, so I got guitar lessons, and I just started. It was one of those things where I was learning from Mel Bay Book 1, and here I wanted to play Rocket Ride and Shock Me and all these cool tunes from Ace and from Kiss, and I was learning When the Saints Go Marching In, and it was disappointing, So,
yeah,
but good thing.
But how did you learn? How did you learn the other songs? Did you just pick them up? I mean, did you just
you know what happened? It was
the chords, or
it's interesting because I know the moments in my past that changed my path or altered my path, and that was obviously the first time I said I want to play guitar. I want to be Ace Frehley. That was what I wanted to do. And I took lessons for, it seemed like forever. I played with some friends. We had a little band together, and I had a little amplifier. And I think what happened, that guitar actually got ruined. That Epiphone got ruined because we had it next to the central heat, and it bent the neck.
That's always good for it.
Yeah, we didn't know. My father was. Yeah, I learned live and learn, and my father and my mother really, forced me to take lessons and practice. And I was I don't want to do this. I don't want to play When the Saints Come Marching In or anything like that. I want to play, rock and roll. And so I just, went back and I started doing a lot, getting into the Beatles. My sister really, really, influenced me on my musical taste a lot. She was into Kiss, so I was into Kiss. She was into Heart, I was into Heart. Alice Cooper, David Bowie. And it was all that stuff that was maybe a couple years ahead of me. In other words, if I was 7 years old, these were what the 11-year-olds were listening to, type thing. And I was lucky because she really, would show me. She'd come home with albums all the time, and we'd be trading albums. And that's, I just had a bunch of Kiss albums and maybe like some Steve Martin albums, But she had the collection started, of good albums. So, she turned me on to Meatloaf and all this great stuff, and Jay Giles, what's the one I'm thinking of? All the good classic rock stuff. But I never really excelled. I never got better. I kind of just played first position chords for a long time. And then I guess it was, and then I was like, I played a little guitar, basically. I played in some friends. We had jam bands and stuff like that. But meanwhile, I was playing, I ruined that Epiphone, so I had a Washburn acoustic, which I still have, actually. Still sounds great. And I played that, and I put like a little pickup in it, in a sound hole, and the cable came out, and plugged into some garbage amp that I had. But it wasn't until 1983, I think it was June, and it was the 1983 US Festival that was actually recorded on May 29th in 83. And because I was also, back then, my sister got me the Black Sabbath and all the good stuff like that. But I saw Ozzy Osbourne comes out with Jakey Lee, this new guitar player that replaced Randy Rhoads. And in the US Festival, they did a whole set, but on the actual TV, wherever it is, maybe MTV or one of the movie channels, showed actually, maybe 5 songs from every performer. And the first one was actually Paranoid. And when Jakey Lee hit that E power chord, man, I've never heard to this day. You look that up on YouTube, Ozzy at the US Festival 83 and Paranoid. I've never heard that first chord. The tone was just insane. Never heard anything like it. Never.
Yeah, isn't that like that one song? Just one guitar band.
Yeah, that was a part, right? Yeah,
that one chord, man. That just like you just go, wow.
Yeah, I was a music lover, but I never really had, I played guitar and probably was considered a good guitar player for what I did, but I didn't have electrics. I played just this acoustic guitars that I had, and but I heard that and I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I said, okay, I want to be a musician now, not just a guitar player. I want to be a musician. I want to do this. This is what I want to do. This is incredible.
Right.
So
that's when you really decided that you were going to put some work into this thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember I got that Christmas because now I went to it was Freehold Music Center. It was the one they had in Monmouth Mall. Yeah, and so that's 1983, and I bought a Kent electric guitar for $100, and I played. I still have that too. I actually sold 2 guitars, and I bought one identical one of it back, and I got searching for the last one. But
so you got the Washburn before you got the Kent?
I had this Washburn acoustic.
Yeah, the acoustic. Oh, so that was like your electric, man.
Well, yeah, that was what I played everything on, the acoustic, So then
right,
I got then I got this Kent electric, which was kind of like a Sunburst, 2 pickup Strat type thing,
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you about the quality, the stain on the fretboard, it wasn't actually a rosewood fretboard. It was stained. It was like pressed board.
Okay.
But I wore the stain.
Even wood?
It was some kind of like
some kind of pressboard wood or some kind of cheap wood, and then they stained it to make it look like a fretboard.
Exactly. And I actually wore out the stain on this guitar. So like I said, I still have it.
Yeah, but it must look cool though.
It does. It's cool.
Worn out in spots, like, wow, man, this thing must have been really
Yeah,
played.
you find out what you play, and I like I said, I wore it out, and then I have actually a half brother who I wasn't raised with, and he stopped by, and he wanted to. It was around my birthday, so this is when I was turning 14, and we went out to a musician's workshop in Marlboro, New Jersey, and he bought me a now because I'm a Jakey Lee fan, I need a Strat. You know, Jakey Lee had this beautiful Strat, you know, and so he bought me my Strat, my black '83 Strat, black with white pickguard. It's my number one guitar to this day, to be honest with you.
Is that the guitar that you put the most mileage on right there? That I was going to ask you that. What guitar you really put the most mileage on that you just love, you just play the most?
I don't. I love that guitar the most. That's my favorite guitar. There's no question about it. I've put the most mileage in the past on it, and actually, what I did is it was when it was like a Dan Smith era Strats when Fender was really going bankrupt, basically. It was a cheaply made guitar where they put the actual tremolo. It's this garbage tremolo. It's like cast steel or something like that, and the actual the whole tremolo system is inside the cavity, so it doesn't have the outside opening, you know. And it was, you know, I wanted a humbucker in this thing, and so I had to go to my friends over at the music store, and I'm like this 14-year-old kid. I'm like, I want you to route this out for a humbucker, you know. And back then, it wasn't a common thing to have a humbucker in a Strat, you know, in the bridge. But I'm like, I really want a humbucker in here, and they're like, what are you, crazy? You're gonna ruin this guitar. I'm like, no, just do it. And they're like, you don't know what you're doing. You're stupid, you know, stupid kid, you know. So I'm like, listen, you can either do it or not do it, or else I'll get someone else to do it. Do you want to make the $100? What do you want? You know? And they're like, all right. And they did. They did such a bad job of it. I mean, really horrible.
Oh,
horrible
that's
job.
the worst. That's the worst when they do a horrible job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a pickup put in, you know, and it wasn't done too good, but, you know, what could I expect?
You know,
I didn't take it to a super pro guy, you know, I just took it to somebody.
Well, back in '84, it just wasn't happening.
They made it.
Yeah. This ended up working. I mean, it worked, and it just, you know, and I had this, the only pickup you had, it was in the display case, he had a DiMarzio Super Distortion, and it was cream colored. And so I bought it, you know, and that's what they put in, and it was a little like off center, and there's extra holes in it. And you can see they cut the opening out. They didn't buy a new pickguard that was made this way, you know, a humbucker single coil. They just kind of cut out the space in it, you know, and there's a bunch of drill holes all over the thing. I'm like, hey, whatever. And it's funny because I still have that pickguard is on that guitar still.
Oh yeah, and you left it on there?
Well, that's part of the story. What I did is I modified this guitar so much. I was just always fiddling with it. You know, I'm a tone chaser. I'm always on this path looking for sound, looking for something, you know. So this is when I was 15 years old, and I'm just fiddling with this thing. And I took the center humbucker, the center single coil out. I put a new single coil in the front. I have this DiMarzio in the Super Distortion in the back. I took the knobs off, you know, and I just have a master volume on it. I took the plug, put it in the bottom. It's been completely gutted up, you know. Sounds fantastic, you know. To me, it's still like it's the best thing.
So that's the bottom line. I mean, the bottom line is that you love it, and you know what I mean. You play it, and it's yours. You made it yours.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's it. You know, you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for yourself. So.
That's exactly it. I mean, we're on a journey, is the way I look at it. You know, and that's part of the fun of it.
How do you like that Super Distortion in the back? Because I actually have one I have a Les Paul from 1970, and I put one of those DiMarzio Super Distortions in the back, and it's got a split. It's got a single coil, double coil switch.
Right.
I mean, I haven't played the guitar through an amp in probably maybe 30 years.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that pickup? I mean, do you still have that pickup in the guitar? And do you like
No,
it or
no,
no?
I like the pickup. Of course, my taste changed. What I did is, I stopped playing for 24 years on my electrics. They just went in boxes and sat in the basement. And
Yeah, why did you stop? What made you like say, all right, time to, time to get away from this a little bit and
well, I was
because
in a really
you wanted to build your career, right?
yeah. What I wanted to do is actually I was in a at the time. I guess this is when I was 15 years old. I was in this band and I got kicked out. It was a band I started with another guitar player, and everybody was older than me. I think I was 15. I was 15 or 14. I was teaching at Howl Music and giving private lessons, and then I was playing in this band, and I got kicked out of the band, and I was furious about this. I mean, mostly I was just, my ego was destroyed,
I
and I
know the
had a
feeling. I know the feeling. It happened to me once. Only
and,
once, thank God.
yeah, well,
Only once. But yeah, go ahead. So and they were your friends, and it was kind of like a devastating thing. Oh
yeah,
God.
you think you have something, and
Really? Come on.
you're yeah, and it's like all of a sudden they're like, well, we're going, and I was just replaced, and I was just devastated by this. So I went to my buddy Troy. He's kind of like always been my musical savior, and I went over to his house, and I was just down, and we used to sit around, and he's one of these guys that's very musical. He doesn't play one instrument, but he could play every instrument. Like he plays guitar now more I guess than he used to. But when we were kids, he can just pick up anything. He has a musical ear that's fantastic, and just my closest friend. We were each other's best men at each other's weddings. So he's just a great guy, and he knew I was like really hurt. I mean, I was
Oh yeah.
devastated,
Yep. I
and
know the feeling. Yeah.
and he had a very good friend of his who I knew. We just weren't really close. Danny Pinto, and he said, I guess he set it up where I was over at Troy's house, kind of all upset about what's going on, and he was consoling me. And then Danny knocks on the window because we used to always sneak out the windows, back then. Danny knocks on the window and he comes in and he's like, you should jam with Danny, and Danny should jam with Dirk. And that's what we did. We just got together and started playing, and we hit it off fantastically. He's one of the most incredible drummers I've ever heard. And but we're both like 15 years old, so we're like in that growth. We're in that we're inspired by everything at that point, and we had very similar tastes, but we really broadened each other's tastes a lot. And a matter of fact, I gave him a bunch of Kiss albums, and about 3 years ago, he gave them back to me. So he held on to it for like 30 years, But
Wow, that's cool. And he said, "Hey, guess what? I still have
yeah,
those records, man. You can have them back if you want."
I was amazed. He's like, "Here, I have these for you." I'm like, "Oh my God, I was thinking about these." But anyway, so we started this band called Tracer, which was we did a lot of Rush and stuff like that, and we had some great friends of ours from school. So I guess we were junior high at that time, and we all played together. And then we went back and played a Battle of the Bands, and we won the Battle of the Bands, and that was awesome because we did really cool tunes. We did like Mr. Crowley by Ozzy, and some just cool stuff, and some stuff that probably today isn't that not so cool. We did,
Yeah,
but
I
we had a
kind
great
of
time.
missed a lot of that era.
Oh,
Like,
what?
yeah, like the whole thing. Like, of course, like Black Sabbath and all of that, but the whole Ozzy era, the whole hair band era,
Yeah,
the whole, all of that. I missed that because in the early 80s, well, I would say late 70s, yeah, early 80s, that's when I was studying jazz in the city. And at that point, I was like, everybody else is a poser. If you're not
yeah,
playing jazz, you're not a musician. And of course, that was a bad attitude, which came around, which I came around to. But anyway, yeah, so I kind of missed this whole thing.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. It was a lot of it was really, I was really into. I had my main influences were like from Hendrix to Randy Rhoads to a lot of this type of stuff that's more of of an education. I don't want to sound bad about hair bands because there were a lot of great bands.
Oh yeah, I mean there were a lot of great musicians. Like some of those guitar solos on some of those tunes.
Yeah,
I,
they're
I don't know. I'm under the suspicion that it was a studio cat that came in and played a lot of those solos, but it's just a suspicion.
yeah.
So
I don't.
clean, and some of them are so. They're good. They're great. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
listen to them now and I go, "Oh, geez, I missed this whole thing."
Yeah, the solos are actually little songs of themselves. The melodies that some of these are just fantastic. But um, there was we had this band and we played some cool stuff that we thought was cool. And then we were writing a lot of stuff. When I was 15, I was writing a lot of music because I was listening to so much stuff. I was listening to, from, I mean, I was lucky. My parents were into like musical theater. So I saw like, The King and I with Yul Brynner and I saw, Fiddler on the Roof and Zero Mostel. I saw these great shows and great musicals, and it was just something that was in our house. My parents weren't musicians in any way, but they loved music, and we listened to a lot of great. Wings was always for some reason I always remember hearing Wings in the car.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of great variety shows back in the day.
Yeah,
And that's what my parents were into. They were always just watching the variety show. That's
right.
where I
Yeah,
got. That's where I got most of my influences from. From a lot of the variety.
yeah. We were lucky growing up because we had such a. I was talking to somebody about this. Today. Well, it comes back to when I started playing again, but I guess we can get to that. I'll stay on what I was talking about with Tracer. We had this band
Right.
and we did original stuff. We did a lot of really good original music. We played a lot of really cool gigs. We actually recorded a 6-song tape, I guess at the time, with EP with someone who's very dear for me to me, and we lost him a couple months ago, David Hershey, who was just a fantastic producer, musician, wonderful guy all around. And I spoke to him up to a couple months ago, and we lost him tragically about a month and a half ago. But Danny and I the band changed a lot around us. We had a great friend, Matt Martin, and was our keyboard player, the original one, and we're all still friends. But then we brought in some other guys and really had a good time and wrote some great stuff. It was like a successful local hair band, but I thought we were pretty dark or interesting, I should say, in what we wrote. We wrote a couple tunes that were poppy, just because we wrote a song that was to play down at the shore, just for that purpose. But for the most part, I thought they were good stories. That's what I think lacks a lot today, is a good story in a song. But at the time it was one of these things where I was working. Now, fast forward a couple of years, I'm 19 years old, 20 years old, 19 years old. I'm working construction at 6 in the morning. I'm recording till 3 in the morning, and I'm like, we're not making any money.
Right.
So, and then I think what happened is one of the guys in the band, he just had enough, and I think he joined the army. And Dan and I looked at each other like, we're done. I'm done with this. I gotta move on. And that's something I always say is that change is good in music. And especially in bands. You want different influences. You need different inputs to have different growing output. And so with that ended, and I was just kind of uninspired by a lot of stuff in like 91, I guess. And I stopped playing. I actually never played in a bar when I was legally allowed to be in the bar until I started playing again about 5-6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, so you took a hiatus, but you still kept playing, right? I mean,
I played my
keep up on your play your acoustic and kept up on your chops and stuff a little bit, or
yeah.
did you just say like, no, I'm just packing it away for a while?
at the time, I just said I'm packing it away, but I actually didn't play a guitar. I didn't strum a chord. I didn't hit a note for 5 years.
Wow.
And then like I said, I know these moments in time. I'm one of these guys that likes these. Wow, I'm inspired, and I'll remember this. And it was I saw Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds do an acoustic gig on like PBS, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible! Like, such incredible talent, you know.
Dave,
2 acoustic guitars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
His chord voicings will wake you up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like when I first heard him, that's the first thing I thought of. He's got a quirky voice, but man, when I started hearing the chord voicings that he was using, they're really interesting. I mean, he's really great.
I agree. As a musician, it's just phenomenal. This acoustic night, it was like I think they made a double album out of it or a double CD out of it. I learned every song that they played that night. Like I just learned it. I had to. It was like a mission. You know, I was so inspired by it. And then I listened to them playing with like Carter Buford on drums. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. You know, me growing up playing with who I consider one of the best drummers around, and still one of the best drummers around, made me really listen to drummers, you know, and because that's, I can't tell you how many times when that band Tracer was going through its next phase, it was Dan and I we got together twice a week, you know, even though it's just the two of us, we're writing songs, you know, and working stuff out. But I listen to a lot of drummers now, and yeah, when I got really inspired by that, I just started playing my acoustic nonstop. I got a 12-string from a mutual friend of ours, Bill Terensky, who's my guitar guru today, you know. I got a 12-string from him, and I just started playing this thing. And it wasn't really a great 12-string. It wasn't expensive. He just gave me a great deal on it. But I remember just playing this thing nonstop from not playing at all until that's what I played, you know, a couple hours a day, every day for months, you know. So I did all that Dave Matthews stuff on the 12-string. That's how I learned it.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm sure it sounds great. I mean, like when I listen to Pat Metheny, there's a video with Pat Metheny where he has this acoustic instrument that has like, I don't know, 50 strings on it or something. Something ridiculous.
Is that the one that has like strings, like level?
Yeah, he's got the drone bass strings.
Yeah.
With no frets, and they're drone strings, and then he's got the guitar strings. And then on the back of it, he's got like a little harp thing with a bunch of strings on it. 12-string guitar though. Whenever I tried to play it, it always felt funny. I guess you got to get used to it, right?
Yeah, it's a strange thing because you're not, you know, it's like pressing down, you know. It doesn't feel like you're pressing a string down. It feels like you're pressing like a flap down. You know,
because it's weird. It doesn't really feel like it's another string.
Almost like there's buttons on the neck and on the fretboard instead of it's unusual. But I mean, I love the sound. I always love the sound of a good 12-string. You know, and it's just so full, and you know, it's got everything going on. You know, but so I played my 12-string for a very long time, and then I picked up a couple acoustics on the way, and then. I met my wife. I was actually supposed to give her a guitar lesson, which she never got. Never will. I'm not going down that path. You know, that's not good for our marriage, I think, you know. But we went to a New Year's Eve party, and there was a band there, and they were terrible. They're a terrible, terrible band. It was bad. There
was probably a band where they just got together and said, hi, nice to meet you. I mean, I've done some of those things where I've just walked in, not knowing anybody, and just introduced myself that night.
Yeah, I've done those.
Sometimes it goes good, and sometimes.
Yeah, this wasn't. I wouldn't compare this to something on your level of musicianship. This was like, hey, you know, let's just get to. You know, it's almost like. You know, some people think that some of these video games that have guitar controllers, they're guitars. They're not. You know, these guys were not good. They were not up to par. That they shouldn't have played. They shouldn't have done it.
Wow.
But they were having a great time, and that I thought was cool. So no matter how bad they sounded, they were having a blast. And my wife, you know, it's funny because she's actually a great musician. She's a much better musician than me. But she got her master's in performing arts from NYU, and she knows theory. Yeah. So when I get hung up,
she went to the city. She did the whole city trip when she was young. And
yeah.
is she from New Jersey? And did she trek into the city, or did she live in the city?
She's from New Jersey. She's from the shore, and she would
trek in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. New Jersey Transit.
I did that for work for a little while. That's not a good thing. You know, it's a shame that people do this stuff. But,
well, you know, when I was going to school, it was fun. I mean, you know, it was fun. I loved being in the city. I took so many pictures when I was young. My school was on the Upper West Side in the real posh section over by the Dakota and the Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, so it was
Central Park was right there. So I mean, I was loving it. But,
no, I like going into the city now, but back then when I went to the city, it was to be in. You know, I was working, and that isn't something I like to do that much anymore. But we're at this this New Year's Eve party, and I look at her and I said, these guys are really horrible, and they're having such a good time. I should be doing this again, you know. And she said, "Yeah, you should be." And she's always there. She's always encouraging me. So I went the next day. This was this New Year's Day. I went downstairs and I pulled out that Fender Strat, that '83 Fender Strat that has all the holes in it. It's all beat up, and it's got at this point, it only had that super distortion humbucker in it. It just had empty spaces where the single coils were. So I guess that was the last time I worked on it. It was 30-something years prior. And but the strings were 30 years old too on it, you know. So
that's like, oh my god, the strings on my Les Paul. I wonder how old they are. I just had John at Highway set it up maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago. So I guess it's still okay. Every now and again, I take it out of the case, and the strings are like rusty.
Yeah.
And then I just go like, I can't believe I have this beautiful guitar. I better take it over to Johnny and let him spruce it up for me, you know, because I live right in Edison, so.
Right.
Yeah, Highway Music when I was a kid, that was one of our staple places.
That's Bill Terensky always brings up Highway Music. That was not near me. You know, growing up, I would walk to Chiazzo Music in Freehold or Freehold Music, something like that. Yeah,
so you're down in the Freehold area.
Yeah.
I had Lou Rose Music right by me. Like, I mean, I'm right around the corner from them. They were fantastic to us kids. The mom and pop music stores. I love them. Like Musicians Workshop, you know, in Manalapan now. You know, it's great. It's great.
Those places were fantastic. I mean, as a kid, you know, I used to go take lessons at Chiazzo Music, and I went through a lot of instructors there. But I'd walk in, and like the instructors would all be jamming from their rooms, you know. So there'd be somebody playing the drums in the back, somebody playing keyboard, somebody playing bass, somebody playing guitar, and I would be inspired by that, you know, walking in there and listening to people just jam, you know. I used to go to music stores and just be inspired by people jamming, you know, and it was always a good time. You know,
somebody told me, hey, you want to get students? Go into Sam Ash, pick up a bass, turn the amp up, and start jamming. People will come around. Somebody will ask you for a lesson.
Yeah.
I was like, I never really thought of that. You know.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's funny because I went to I was looking for I like Fender Strats, obviously. I'm a Strat guy. I've got plenty of other guitars, but I always like Strats, and they just kind of fit me well. But I didn't have a Sunburst. I always wanted a Sunburst Strat. So I was on this mission looking for a Sunburst Strat. This was probably like September of what year is it now? 2020, 19, probably September of 2018. So I went up on 18 to Guitar Center in East Brunswick,
Right. Yeah.
And I don't I don't use tremolos. I just block them out, you know. So I like the 6-screw bridge, 6-screw tremolo instead of the 2 bolts, because if it floats, that's not good for me. I don't want it floating. You know, I want it.
You just want to fix. You want to fix bridge on it.
Yeah,
No
and
nonsense. Keep it in tune.
yeah, and it's very difficult to find like a hardtail. I built hardtails, you know, like that's a hardtail. I built that. And there's another one right here.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. You put together guitars and all kinds of stuff. So you're really into the.
So this one actually. Yeah, this one actually, you can see there's the wood grain on it. It's blue. Wood grain, I can't really see it. But this is a replica. This is designed exactly as that black and white Fender Strat is now. So the reason was so I could just kind of not take that out to a bar or anything anymore. So I could take this one out instead. But it's a great guitar. No inlays on the fretboard. Indian rosewood. And the neck is actually a roasted maple with no gloss or satin, nothing on it. It's just wood.
That's like this. I have this Carl Thompson bass here, and
I love that feel.
I mean, if you look at the back, it's like black almost.
Yeah.
because there's no finish on it at all. I really have to clean it up.
But I like that feel, you know, of the dryness of it, because you know, you pick up some of these necks that have a heavy gloss on it.
Yeah, it's the polyurethane, and then you stick to it.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it wasn't. You know, you look at Jeff Beck, and he's constantly putting like baby powder on his hands, so he doesn't get stuck on the neck or in his fingers or anything like that. But yeah, so I was looking for this Sunburst, and I went to Guitar Center, and I started playing a guitar there that they had, and I'm just, you know, playing what I'm playing, whatever's in my head, just to feel it out. And this kid comes up to me, and this like little kid, he must have been like 9 or 10 or something like that, little guy, and he's just watching me from around like one of the display cases, you know, kind of peeking around the side of it, looking at me, and I'm not.
Who's playing that?
Yeah. And I'm not really paying attention to it that much, and all of a sudden, you know, I stop playing. I go, "Hey, how's it going?" You know, and he's like, "Oh, can you play that, you know, song again?" I said, "Sure, you know, absolutely." And I did, and I left. I didn't buy the guitar, I didn't like it, but I left there. I was like, you know, wow, full circle, you know, because I was that kid at Chiasso Music and Freehold Music 30, 40 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
Where I saw somebody playing, and I would just sit there. Oh my God, you know, it was incredible. You know?
I did that one gig that way. When I was teaching at the musicians workshop, I was sitting there playing, and you know, somebody came over and said to me, "So what do you do? What do you do?" I said, "I teach bass here." He says, "Oh, so you're wasting your life away in that cubicle back there, huh?" He goes, "That's a shame." And he walks away. I'm like, "Who is this guy?" And then he comes back. He goes, "So hey, you want to do the gig?" And then I realized who it was. And oh yeah, sure, you know, I'll do it, you know. But I won't mention any names, but a fabulous guitar player who I love, and I admired his music, and so it was great. It was great to play with him. But yeah,
that's cool.
But yeah, I was like, wow, I don't know if that's a compliment or if that's a put down, you know.
Right.
And he walked away, and of course he was just being a wise ass, you know. But
that's cool though. I mean, I always say, you know, we just had, you know, went through a couple bands since I got back into playing. A lot of bands, actually, for that matter. And but I'm with a band now called Rocket Fish that I'm playing with. And we played actually a gig about 3 weeks ago. So we did it after quarantine. We actually played a gig, and it was amazing.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We played
is that the band that you played at the Stone Pony with at one time?
No, the Stone Pony gig I did a couple of years ago. That was with Revolution Rewind. It was Russell Arcara from Prophet and Edgar Casey.
Yeah, Russell, he's the singer, right?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's
And
one of
yeah, just could you elaborate on that a
yeah,
little bit, because that Stone Pony stage just has
yeah.
so many fabulous musicians. I mean, I know it was just a thrill to just stand on the stage. But could you talk about the gig?
Absolutely, and it was kind of cool because when I was younger, I did play there, a few times. So I hadn't played there in a good 30, 35 years probably.
Oh wow!
And,
So
and
did you play on the old stage then?
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wow! See, I
yeah,
never got a chance to play on that
yeah.
stage.
We used to
I
play.
would have
I
loved
used
to
to,
have played on that stage.
yeah. I used to, my round was like Stone Pony, Fast Lanes back then. In Asbury I loved Fast Lanes. We played Club and A quite a bit. Birch Hill. There was another one. On 35 that was Art Stock songs. The Playpen.
Yeah, Playpen.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
keep
used to
forgetting it.
play there all the time.
I got a concussion on that stage because I hit my head into the stripper bar, so I almost knocked myself out.
Oh my God.
That was a good time. But yes, I used to do all that round. But so when I got back into playing, I became basically the replacement guitarist. I mean, I'm the guy. When a guitarist leaves a band, I become the new guy. I'm never really the one that is the starts it, except for the one band Fools Among Us, and that was a great band, great friends of mine, they're like family. But Russell and I actually are friends. Russell Arcara from Revolution Rewind. It was his band. It is his band, and it's kind of his idea, his goal, what he wants to do with songs that he grew up on, that he wanted to play. And it was songs like Go All the Way by the Raspberries, really cool stuff, 4-part harmony stuff, and I sing, so it worked out. And he had another guitar player in that band, and I think that guitar player and the bass player are brothers. And they got into some sort of argument, then the guitar player left, and he's a really nice guy, too. I like both of them very much. And so I spoke to Russell, and Russell and I were actually friends because we're animal lovers, not really about music. We both love animals, and that was kind of how our friendship actually came about. But I said, Russell, you want me to learn some of these songs and see if I'll come out and jam with you guys. So he says, yeah. And I learned Roundabout by Yes, Go All the Way by the Raspberries, $1 Billion Babies by Alice Cooper. I love that tune.
Oh yeah, Alice. He always had the greatest.
Awesome stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we played Hello It's Me by whatchamacallit?
Todd Rundgren?
Thank you, Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
Just really good.
That song. It was a great song.
Oh, it's a fantastic song. I'm actually gonna play it tomorrow night at a little private jam. And a couple of other tunes that are escaping me right now. All good stuff, So I learned all these tunes, and I went down, and I guess they liked what they heard. And then I had a gig like a week later, and I had to learn. I did Sister Christian by Night Ranger, which, if you're familiar with the song, it's Brad Gillis playing guitar, who's an incredible guitar player. But he's a whammy bar. He uses the tremolo. He's like a master of the tremolo. I don't have tremolos on my guitars, so
that's kind of tough.
Well, what I did is I pull the string behind the nut to go up, and then I bend the neck to go down. So I worked it out, and it went over well. I got the notes, so I did it.
Hey, and you put little bit of your own personality into it.
Yeah, but it worked out. It was cool. So that was the band. That's the band Revolution Rewind, and then we had this gig at the Pony.
Right? That was the Pony gig, right?
Yeah. So now we got this Pony. No, the Pony gig was a little while later. The band went through a bunch of things. It's the keyboardist got sick, so we had a guy who, I don't know if you know, Kendall Scott, who's just fantastic.
I've heard the name. I've heard the name, but I never...
He's playing with Nectar now. Remember the progressive band Nectar from the 70s?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's playing with them. I think he just did an album and he's touring with them. And he also plays with my friend Huey in a Eric Clapton cover band. Oh man.
Yeah, Clapton tribute.
Yeah, tribute band. It's the name escapes me. Bell Bottom Blues.
Oh yeah,
Go
yeah.
check him out. Go look at Bell Bottom Blues. Hugh's playing bass and Kendall's playing keys, and Lori Davis sings backup, I think, on that. That's a great. They're excellent. But
Now,
anyways,
do you know the guitar player in Nectar? Is it Richie Salandra?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm sorry. He's from Renaissance. Remember the band Renaissance back in the day?
No, but the only maybe like obscure band that I know of that time was I like Captain Beyond. I'm a Captain Beyond
Captain
fan.
Beyond. Oh, I had that record.
Yeah, Raging
Oh
River
yeah,
of
I
Fear.
had that record. I used to like that. But,
Yeah, that's my I now Bill Cherensky and I used to be so there's three of us actually. There's three people who like Captain Beyond.
yeah,
So,
it's funny because that's just such a name from the past that I was really into, and not a lot of people were.
no, and it was a great band. I mean, it was the original singer from what Deep Purple who started that band, right?
I don't know.
He's the
I
one
thought it
that
was just some kind of side project of a bunch of super musicians or something. I don't know.
yeah, I know it came from the singer who sang Hush, actually, by Deep Purple.
Hush. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so before Ian Gillan was in the band, this guy left and he started Captain Beyond.
Yeah, that was cool. That was
yeah, cool stuff. But so I played with and Kendall had sat in on this gig for the Stone Pony, and it was fantastic. We played opening for a tribute band, Fleetwood Mac tribute band called Gypsy, and they're incredible tribute band. We opened for them, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time, and people really enjoyed it. We had a lot of good stuff come from that. Matter of fact, I think the reason why I'm in Rocket Fish right now is because of that gig at the Pony. Because Owen, who's the singer and I guess the founder of Rocket Fish, he was there and at the Pony, and he and I became Facebook friends right after that. So I guess you can follow the lines to everything, and that I would say I would have never have known Owen and never have known that they wanted a new guitar player for Rocket Fish if it wasn't for that gig. So everything matters, man. Everything matters when you're playing.
Yeah, things, you never know what's going to click and what's going to spark something else, something new,
Yeah. So, so I play. So the Pony gigs, there's nothing. It's always it's an experience. I always play the Pony,
Yeah, just being up on that stage. I mean, the couple of times that I did play there, it's just, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel this vibe up there, like, wow, I'm at the Pony. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. There's it's a really nice place now, which is the only disappointing thing for me. I liked it when I liked it when it was, kind of like smoke filled, little filthy. You didn't want to touch something,
And I'm in love with one of the bartenders.
Oh,
yeah, she is. I won't mention any names, but she's really fantastic. Fantastic.
She's a good bartender.
Fantastic woman. Yeah, obviously she is. Yeah. Yeah, she takes good care of me and my son. We go there to see shows and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it's the Pony's great. I would. It was a pleasure, and it's always an honor to play that stage. There's a couple places like that I don't know, but you're right. There's a vibe about when you're playing the Pony, and especially the Revolution Rewind, which I thought was a fantastic band. The musicianship was incredible. Those guys were fantastic. You got basically 4 out of 5 guys that can actually sing a lead. And then you have somebody like Russell in that band, who's the most generous musician I know. Where he wasn't like Anthony, who was playing bass. His voice is fantastic. Got a fantastic voice. And it was not like there was never an ego stuff going around with it. It was all about that band the music sounding as good as it could.
Yeah, so, one for all for one, not like I'm the guy, everybody else take the back seat.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and Russell and I mean, he's like my brother, so I love him to death, and if he ever, the band actually isn't gone. It's just away, type thing.
Now,
And
isn't he in another band that plays covers now?
he's in a cover band now called Shut Up Gus with some friends of mine also.
Right,
Yeah.
See, that's where I know him from because I'm a biker, so they play some of the biker events.
Right. Yeah. I guess.
That's basically where I heard him. The Shut Up Gus thing, yeah.
Yeah, he plays in Shut Up Gus, and then I always he's just one of these guys. You know how it is. You get some of these people that you're music is very important. I always say when you play music with somebody, it's very deep. It's a deep relationship mostly, and there's this communication that goes on when you play a song with somebody and you're visualizing and communicating that way. There's a connection that's just, it's a unique thing. But then there's these people that you have that with, and then your friendships and your relationships is way beyond music, So it's almost like, music is what started it all, but our relationship is way beyond that. I feel that way with Russell. He and I have a very deep relationship. We're very close. We don't see each other as much, but we support each other, and it's like one of these guys when you see him and you just feel good, Like Bill Cherensky and I, we have a friendship like that where, I just, we just try to get together just to have a conversation for lunch, and it's just awesome.
Every time I see Bill, it's like a jam session, and we're like, I always love seeing him, but we're always like yelling over the music. Hey man, what's going on? What's new? And like talking. So it was great to have him on the show.
Yeah, and as you can see, he's one of these guys that you could have a very good conversation with. this is a lost art for some people talking, especially musicians, right? Because they're not used to having a conversation. They're used to just yelling, like you said. I'm gonna we're taking a break yet? I need my beer, whatever it is. And to have a conversation with some of these guys and you're like, wow, that was awesome. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, he's definitely fun. Hey,
yeah.
You know what I wanted to ask you about? I wanted to ask you about the ASCAP thing. And why did you become a member of that, and what made you get into the whole ASCAP songwriting publishing thing?
Okay, so when I stopped playing publicly for that 24 years, I'm in business for myself. I started my business and really worked hard. And so I have kind of a business mindset towards things. So when I got back into playing again, and I played in a lot of cover bands, and I have so much original music. A lot of original music. And I'm one of these guys that's like, if I die, it just goes with me, And so you should have it out there. You should have somebody should have the option to hear it if they want to hear it or not, But, I also know that, most musicians make poor choices, Most people make poor choices for that matter. So I thought about it. I said, well, if I do this, I'm going to do this.
I'll raise my hand. I made so many wrong choices.
Yeah, and
but I go for the love and for art, and
that's all
I'm
fine.
Still here. I'm alive, so I'm still, I'm talking to you, so it's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen. I'm doing all this for the passion that I have for it. There's no question about it.
Oh, that's the only reason to do it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you should protect yourself some way if you have something invested in it, And so what I did is I thought about it. I said, I have all this great music. I want to go in the studio. I want to record everything. I want to record everything. And I'm working on new original music with other people too, collaborating with people too. So I want to record everything, and then I want to re-record things that I did years ago because I want to redo it now because I have new versions of things that I've rewritten music for and update them. But I figured I want to have everything out, recorded and whatever, whether it's going to be on Apple iTunes or Spotify, whatever it may be. So I said, how can I do this and understand it, and not get screwed like how everybody does with their deals, And like I said, I'm not going to retire off of this, I don't think, you know. But I just figured if there's a penny to be made, it should be my penny. It's my music,
Right.
you know.
Which
And
I have a funny thing. When I do my podcast, I play my song that I wrote from my band's album as the intro, and I get hit with copyright infringement every time.
really?
Yeah.
Well, you should be paid for that, though. That's really what should happen.
Well, you know, I told them, I wrote them a thing. I told them, I said, look, I appreciate you, you know,
Protecting
watching
you.
over my music and protecting me, but, you know, hey, I want to use my song. And it doesn't matter. It's just some algorithm or something like that.
Yeah.
Boom, copyright.
Yeah, because, they could take your song and it could be played in Hungary. You should be compensated for that, really. If you can be compensated, if anybody can be compensated, you should be compensated. That's the way I look at it. So what I did is I read a book. There was this great book about I forget the name of it. I'll email it to you or something. But it was written by one of the associates of Tom Petty, and it was all about publishing. Because I've been in business for 30 years. The music industry is the most screwed up business. I mean, it's kooky, you know.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's really.
I'm trying to.
And it's totally changed, and it's changing now. You know, with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's totally changing. And it's never going to be the same as it was before.
No, it's going to evolve. Good or bad.
But certain things like publishing are important. So you don't get screwed.
And it's still, to me, you almost gotta like have a split personality to understand how it works. But what I figured out was I can't really have my hands in everything. But what I can do is own the hands that are in everything, if that makes any sense. So what I did is I started a publishing company named after two of my dogs, Molly Jack Publishing, and my little monkeys. But I started a publishing company, and I hired a company called Song Trust. I think it's called Song Trust. I can't think right now. They're the publishing administrator. And then Danny and I were wise enough that when we were young, we copywrote our songs when we were 14 and 15 years old. So I've always copywritten my music, you know, through the Library of Congress or whatever it was at the time. And so I just registered, you know, between BMI or ASCAP. I thought ASCAP was a better deal for me. You know, I mean, at the end of the day.
And they're still around. They're still surviving ASCAP and BMI, and they're still tracking, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, people are still playing radio and streaming music. They're still making their money, you know. I mean, it's the same percentage of a smaller piece, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I hear now with these, say like I have a digital recorder, so I record something and it says the recording date, and that's supposedly copyright, because it shows that I wrote the song, that it was written, and what date it was, and that covers me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably a little sketchy, but But I think, you know, everything is so crazy now.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't release anything unless I actually went through the process of copywriting it, which you can do electronically now through the Library of Congress, libraryofcongress.gov or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like a smart thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like something I wouldn't do. I would just like, oh yeah, it's copyright. Yeah, put it out there. Going back to the wrong choices again.
But I mean, at the end, I remember when we were younger. I mean, when I was like 14, 15 years old, we used to get a song and you'd put it in the mail and you wouldn't open it. It would be stamped.
Yeah, you record it on a cassette, you seal it.
Right.
You send it
mail it to yourself or something like that, and it was stamped. And they say, well, you know, there is some proof there, and you know, you can back up your claim, you know, as long as you can always back up your claim. But I'm trying to set it up so I do a lot of stuff. Like I'm going to put out a lot of music.
You're going to put out a lot of stuff like the.
Yeah, I'm going to record like nonstop with all different musicians, by the way. It's not going to be a band. It's just going to be my stuff recorded.
Your stuff, yeah.
And I'm just going to, hire musicians and that's what I'm doing now. I've been in a lot of bands in the last 5 years, and I'm collecting musicians. I'm always collecting musicians. I'm always looking for someone to jam with, to play with. I want, my 3-piece, hopefully, get that rolling soon. But yeah, stuff like that. And I could record it all. And, who knows? It may end up in part of a movie in, Russia,
I mean, hey, you never know what's going to happen, like I said.
Yeah. And ASCAP will get me my money.
It's a crapshoot. The music business is a crapshoot. Lucky 7. If you roll it, you roll it. But it is who you know. I mean, you have to. I mean, I think the business is more networking than anything else.
I would agree with that.
And I'm bad at that because I generally. I don't know. I don't like to schmooze. I don't like to bother musicians when they come off their sets. You know what I mean? I don't. So it's.
See what my shirt says?
I guess I'm a little socially dysfunctional. I don't know how I do this show, but.
Can you read my shirt?
Don't bother me. Yeah, only talking to the dog today.
That's my world. I can do something like this. I'm not really one. I don't want to go out and network with really anybody. I've done that for work, and I don't really want to do that. I want to go and if I go out, I want to see a friend's band play, or I want to play. But I think that's kind of the way that I'm trying to do this is if I can do this with Song Trust and ASCAP and if I could just electronically you could put it on sites where people who make movies will need to download a certain song for something. You never know. You never know what happens. It could be a part of a commercial. It could be whatever. You just never know what's going to happen with it. But if you don't put it out there, there's no opportunity for anything to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to make moments. And I don't know which one's going to matter, but as long as I make a lot of moments happen, whether it's a lot of songs out there or a lot of this or that, I just want to put myself in the position to be lucky,
That's why I'm doing a lot of videos. Like, I've been doing a lot of videos lately. Well, because I'm not doing anything. I'm not going out. I'm not working.
Right.
I'm dying over here, but we won't talk about that. But because I'm getting so much other stuff done, having fun doing the show, and I've been putting out like free bass lessons, and then I've been, I've been just doing some standards and putting them out there, because when I go, it'll still be there. It'll still be out on the web. Like, I'm doing a whole bass lesson series, and even if nobody ever buys it, and just my son watches it and learns from it, I'll be happy. But
at the end of the day,
it's good to have stuff down.
Yeah.
Well,
what I did during this whole, I've been very fortunate, for a lot of things during this quarantine. Work-wise, I've been busier than probably I want to be. Well, that's true. I'm busier than I want to be.
Everybody's probably calling you, freaking out. What the hell's going on here? What's going on with the world, bro? I'm nervous.
I'm like, I just want to play my guitar. What it bothered me. But musically, I've been very busy too during this thing, and that was, I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to just figure out what to do because, when you're a musician and you're playing all the time and then you stop, it's like, it's not a healthy thing right then. Just stop and lock yourself in your house, and unless you want to write, and I want to write, but I can't dedicate straight hours to that, which is what I'd like to do. But I'm doing this. I was telling you this. Friend of mine who I was actually I jammed with, a great singer. He's in the Sensational Soul Singer. His name's Angel Casada. He invited me to this webpage that his friend started on Facebook. and it was a quarantine experiment called the Virtual Band Experiment. And he invited me to this, and what the idea was is that, you know, they're going to pick songs. They'll do 10 songs, and they'll just have people, whoever wants to, will play their part. So, well, you know, I said I can sing and I play guitar. I said to my wife, I said, whatever they ask me to do, I'm not going to ask for anything, but whatever's asked, I'm going to say yes, because that's the challenge, you know. I think a lot of musicians today have learned all they're going to allow themselves to learn, you know. And I'm like, I guess because I took so much time off, I'm like craving to learn more about playing. Now, I mean, I have a great teacher in Laguna Beach, John Hoisenstam. It's fantastic. So I still take lessons myself. I haven't taken one in a couple months because I just haven't had the time. But I'm just, there's so much to still learn. You know, you need more input all the time. But this virtual band experiment was cool. I did four songs, and the last one I think was released 2 days ago, which was a Junior Parker song made famous by Elvis Presley, Mystery Train. So that was really cool.
Mystery Train, right?
Yeah, Mystery Train. Yeah, Mystery Train. That was cool. That was a little bit of a cursed song because we had to keep going back, and I had a hard time with the timing on it. But this guy Tom, who puts it all together, he did a phenomenal job mixing. He mixes. What he does is we all listen to the tracks with our headphones, and with our iPhone, we record ourselves playing it. So you're hearing the audio from the room and the video from the room, obviously. And he mixes the audio and video together and makes a little video out of it. So
now how does he lock up all of the timing? You just do it to a metronome, and everybody does it to a certain time, and then he locks it up when he.
No, what he does, he sends you the jam tracks. So, like he would send you the tracks of the song without the bass.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So what I asked him to do is I would say, send me all the tracks individually, and I'll load them into Logic.
Oh, now I understand.
Yeah, so you would play along with it with the headphones on, and everybody would play along to the same track with their instrument missing. And then he put it together. So I did 4 songs. I actually got Bill Cherensky to do bass on Perfect Strangers. So and I did Perfect Strangers. I did Midnight Rider. And it was cool because Midnight Rider, I played acoustic guitar. I did, I think, 3 electric guitars too on that because I did the harmonies to myself. So
awesome.
It was cool. It was a really fun challenge. And like I said, because I was saying, no matter what they ask me, I'm going to say yes. You know, the movie Yes Man. I'm like, whatever it is, I'm doing it. I'm in. And this last song was a challenge. They challenged me on that one. This Mystery Train, which you think would be the easy one. It was not easy.
Is that the one that's, I can't think of how it goes. But it's like an up-tempo, it's really like a 1-4-5, but it's weird. It's a little,
yeah.
And it's real up, like real fast, like country groove, right?
It's a rockabilly song.
Rockabilly song, yeah.
It's a rockabilly song.
Yeah.
And it's tricky. It's tricky. It came out well. They did a good job. Like I said, he's gathered great musicians to play on these things. It's really quite interesting, and I'm happy that I'm lucky and honored that I was asked to do 4 of the 10 songs. You know.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's another thing. Like I said, now that's out there.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, it was just it was very gratifying to especially do stuff that, you know, that I wouldn't have chosen. I wouldn't have even thought of it, you know. And it was cool. It was cool. Yeah. That was good stuff.
You mentioned Logic. That's the program that you use to record and do different stuff on. Yeah. Logic. Why did you let's talk about that a little bit. Why did you choose Logic, and why do you like it?
I chose Logic because my friend Jerry Collier told me to use Logic. He was a singer in Fools Among Us, one of my favorite bands I was ever in. But
Obviously, he's experienced, has had a lot of experience.
he actually has experience with Pro Tools, and I'm one of these guys. Listen, I'm not a tech guy by any means. I'm a guitar player, and what I wanted to do is be able to use it to help write songs, you know. And I'm building a studio, but it's not going to be a recording studio where you're going to release an album from. You may be able to do a demo, you know. There's not going to be too much going on, except I'll treat it like a mixer and record all the parts that way.
Yeah, that's what I have going on.
So the reason now, Jerry knows me pretty well, and he knows he's an embedded guy in Pro Tools. He's got a lot invested to it. He knows, you know, I'm kind of, when it comes to technology, I'm a lazy person. I'm not really I'm not eager to master or anything like that. I just want to play guitar and write songs. And so he told me, he said, this would be the best. This is the most, what word did he use? I forget. It would just be very easy for you to figure stuff out. And he said he's just too invested in Pro Tools, but if he would start now, he would use Logic. So, and I have to say, so I got Logic, and I actually, you know, got some tracks, and I was able to cut up the tracks and mix them within 15 minutes of loading in Logic. So he was right. It was very easy for me to use, and I'm a big fan of simple for me, you know.
Yeah, me too. I mean, when I was looking for a video editor to do editing for my show, for the show, you know, I searched, and I found this free program called OpenShot. And if you ever worked on any other digital audio workstation before, and you know how to use clips and drag and drop, it's so easy. Like within, I don't know, the first one took me a little while, but you know, I got my workflow going pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, so I'm like you. That's why I figured I'd ask you about Logic, because right now I'm using the one. I don't know. I think it's called Audacity.
Yeah, I heard of that.
From GarageBand,
right?
And that's another free one, because I can't go out and spend $600 on a digital audio.
Right.
And
I'm not that guy either.
I do need something really simple that's good.
Logic was I don't believe it was that expensive. It wasn't $500. I know that.
Yeah,
maybe it was.
I'm searching for something.
Yeah, maybe it was $300 in that area. But I have to say, I mean, you know, I'm amazed at this thing. Now I had used on a PC. I used a program called Studio One once. I used that a couple times because that came with like a digital audio interface that I had. It was like the freebie. And I figured that one out, you know, how to use it. But I use things just so I can get the job done of what I'm trying to do. I wanted to do, like, I have people who call me up and say, or someone will find me on Facebook and whatever it is, they'll say, listen, you want to record guitar tracks for my song? Sure, no problem. Tell me what you want. You know, let's figure out our deal, what we're going to work on. And they'll Dropbox me the file. And I could load it in Logic. I could record my guitar parts and send it back in its studio quality. Yeah. That was really why I need what.
I need to figure out how to do that kind of stuff with. I don't know. I guess I do things on my computer, so I guess in order for me to send large files, I have to send it through Google somehow. What do you do?
Like Google Drive or something like that.
Yeah, and you just email it to the person. And
what I use Dropbox, or I'll use there's a free service you can use called WeTransfer.com, and I learned that.
Beat transfer.
WeTransfer.
Oh, WeTransfer.
WeTransfer.com, and I think it's .com. I learned that one from this guy Tom from the Virtual Band Experiment, because that's how he would send me files. That's how I would send him files. So
because I'm brain dead with technology.
You know what it is? It's not something that I look at the inefficiencies of the use of me being involved with these things, I'm the weakest link. So if I stay out of the way, I was talking to somebody about, I'm going to go into chords of, my music. I'm not doing that here. I want to do it where I'll hire an engineer and a producer, somebody for me to, if everything happens exactly the way I wanted, it probably would not work out the way I wanted it to end up, you know?
Yeah,
So
sometimes it's not good to have your hands in every little part of it because it can screw it up.
I'm a guitar player and a songwriter.
Yeah,
That's me, you know?
that's why when I'm in the control room, I just let the engineer go for it unless he asks me something specific that I want or anything. I just let him take care of it because
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I have.
hey, that's your job. Okay, I play the
Yeah.
part. You make it sound how you want it to sound. And I mean, some people are very anal about that, though. They're like, oh no, it's got to be recorded this way, and it's got to have this mic, and it's got to be this way, and don't tell me how to get a bass sound. I'll tell you how you get and I was always the opposite. I was always like, I did the bass track, I'm gone, see you guys later. Maybe I'd sit in on a mix or something like that occasionally, but most of the time, when I was doing a lot of session work, I was just in. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah. I think the key is, it's interesting because I'm always like working on my tone, working on my sound, whether it's like, I have a lot of amplifiers and I have some custom built amplifiers that are fantastic. And I have a lot of pedals and I don't use a lot of pedals, but I have probably like 30 or 40 overdrives,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
another thing. So, what's your favorite gadgets that you like to use, pedal wise?
Um, my favorite I mean, I'm using, I did that barge gig on the Navasink River. I used a practice amp, a PV Transtube Envoy, little 10-inch speaker practice amp that I had from 35 years ago.
And what
Sounded
did you do,
great.
mic it or?
Yeah, I went right into it. The only thing I put on it was the delay. And I had a delay pedal. That was the only thing I had in the middle. And I went directly into the amp and I used the overdrive channel. And it's a great it's my practice amp actually. And because I didn't know a lot what was going on with this barge gig. I didn't know if you were like what the barge looked like, So I wasn't gonna bring like one of my nice tube amps, out in open water. I
Oh
was nervous
yeah,
about that. And
absolutely, yeah.
and I wasn't
I
gonna bring
know the feeling.
I
That's
wasn't
why
gonna bring any of these strats weren't going. That
yeah,
wasn't gonna
yeah.
happen.
No, I know the feeling.
So, but I use a lot of different things, and I guess I have a Henry amplifiers, JP Henry up in Weehawken. He built an amp for me that's just fantastic. I use a lot of different amps for different things, but I have this thing I just bought. It's by Boss. It's called a tube amp expander, and what it basically is you can go from the head of the amp, tube amp, has to be a tube amp, go out of the speaker into this tube amp expander by Boss, and then what that does is you can crank up the actual volume, and it's like a load box for that matter, except it's reamped. It actually has 150 clean watts in it. So then you can send it right to the speaker cabinet from there, and you can completely control the volume of. But meanwhile you're getting the tone from those hot tubes.
So it's like a tone soak.
Yeah, but there's
I
much
mean a
more.
power soak, not
It's
tone
like a
soak.
power soak, yeah,
It's
like
like
a
a
load box,
power soak.
like a power soak. Except it's much more than that. And I'm lazy when it comes to technology, so I was like, oh, this is really cool. And that's only 1/3 of what it does. It has some onboard effects, which I'm not that guy to get involved with that. It has a reverb, which is great because I have the Henry amp doesn't have a reverb, so it has a really cool reverb on it. So, but it sounds great, and it's a really sharp tool to use, and you can actually direct out of it too. So I can even go in headphones, and meanwhile you can get like a cranked up Marshall Super Lead, which you could never use anywhere today.
Right.
You could put that thing on 7 and put headphones on, and you're like, oh, this is incredible. I got the brown sound. So that's a really cool thing. But I'm trying to simplify everything and make everything smaller. Playing out at some of these bars and stuff. I don't want to bring a lot of stuff. So a lot of times I'm playing with a 112 cabinet or a 210 cabinet. I like 10s. I think they're sharp, they're quick, they have a good attack, if you would, Um, but there is nothing like playing through a 412 cabinet. I just don't want to carry it.
Yeah, I know. That's like there's nothing like playing through an SVT cabinet with 8 10s in it either. But I ain't carrying it.
No, there's refrigerators.
If it's there, like the Pony has one.
Yeah.
They always have one on stage.
Yeah, if it's there, then it's a different story. Then that's even better. Then you don't have to bring a speaker cabinet. Just bring a head. But yeah, I don't want to carry anything too much anymore. I mean, and I'll use a lot. I'll use
Excuse me, man. I'm having a coughing fit over here.
No worries. For Rocket Fishing, it's a rock band. So we're playing like I'll use that Henry 45 Plus custom amp that he built for me. I'll use I've got a lot of custom heads downstairs, or I'll use a hot rod, a Fender hot rod, and I got some good old tubes that I got from Bill Cheransky to put in there that make really sounds great. And then I just picked up I have a limited edition Fender Deluxe Reverb amp, which I use for clean stuff. It's just a beautiful amplifier.
When I was a kid, I always loved the sound of Fender amps. I was never a Marshall guy. I never liked them.
I'm not a Marshall guy. I to this day, there's one amp that's a Marshall that I want, and it's an old '80s Jubilee, the silver Jubilees.
Is that the combo, the smaller?
No, it comes in a combo today, but a friend of mine, David Woolley, he runs Decibels rehearsal studios, and that's an Old Bridge Decibel studio. He's a great guy. He let me play one time. He let me play through this. Well, he had it there for me to play with, and it's a Jubilee, and it was fantastic. And I said, man, I said, I want this amp. He's like, it's not for sale. It's going to be buried with me. I'm like, well, you really don't want to do that. I don't want to wait that long. So I said, he's, well, then there's a list. And I said, well, I'll pay more than anybody else. You're at the top of the list. So one day I'm hoping I can make him part with that amp, because that is a Marshall amp that I think sounds fantastic. I mean, if I find another one, that'd be great too, but it's a very hard amp to find.
And when was that made? Do you know?
I think that was actually a reissue made back in the 80s.
Okay.
I actually have, again, my guitar guru, Bill, I bought I had an amp built called a Chariotone. People call it Seriatone, but it's actually Chariotone, and it's built in Malaysia. And he does clones of amps. So he built me, Nick over at Chariotone in Malaysia built me a Trainwreck Expression.
Trainwreck. That wasn't it designed by Dennis?
It was I'm lost for words now. I can't remember. He was friends with Bill. Bill knew him.
Yeah, Dennis Prager. Dennis Prager, no?
No, that's not the name.
No.
Because Bernie used to play him.
Oh
also.
no, he was Sundown. He had Sundown here.
Yeah. Trainwreck was I don't know. But I have this Chariotone. It's a Trainwreck clone, and that's a great amp too. That sounds fantastic. I enjoy playing that a lot too. But it's very touch sensitive, which was the whole key to the Trainwrecks, But I have a lot of. I'm always searching. I very rarely have two of the same thing. So you asked me before about what's my favorite thing to play.
Right. It changes, right?
It changes. I mean, I just got. So I bought this. This is actually a Fender Strat. It's like an 86 Fender Strat that's a 62 reissue, okay? And it's Japan made. It's Fender Japan. And back in the 80s, they made a better guitar than than Fender USA. But I bought this guitar. It was beat up. It was gutted out. And I bought this guitar for like $250 on Reverb. from Japan. They shipped it for, I think it cost me $100 to have it shipped. Okay, so it cost almost 50% just to have it shipped. But the only thing I kept on it is the neck, the machine heads, the pick, the bridge, and the pick guard is actually from my black and white Fender Strat. From one time it was changed, and now I put it back to the original cut up pick guard. And I had all these. I had all these picks.
Oh, so you stole that. You stole that pick guard from the other.
Yeah, this everything here, all this right here is all new. Is all I redid. I put all new wiring, all new electronics. I have a master volume and a master tone with the oil tone cap on it. You know, the oil fill tone cap. And this is actually
I don't know what that is. What are you talking about?
So the tone, they have a capacitor that goes on the actual potentiometer.
Yeah, I noticed that even on the bass ones, because I play a jazz bass, and there was always a little resistor in there.
Right. So it's like they're like little caps, and they can be like, sometimes they call them orange drops if they're orange.
Mm-hmm.
You may have heard that term. This one, I actually have a oil-filled capacitor in here. And
oil-filled capacitor.
Yeah, it's kind of like a paper with oil in it, and it just creates a different type of tone. You know, tone is when it's all the way up. It's out of the mix, so it only brings the dark side of it, right? The bass into it, if you would. So, but that's in this, and just every guitar is very unique. All my guitars have DiMarzios, except I have a Les Paul with P90s in it from Lindy Fralin, the hand-wired Lindy Fralin P90s. Wow. But this is actually, I found this in a box in my box of stuff over the years, and it's actually a Seymour Duncan distortion that was hand-wired by Maricela Juarez, who was the head of the custom shop in the 80s of Seymour Duncan. And then these are DiMarzios. This is a Super Distortion SDS1. This is a Virtual Vintage 52 or something like that. So it's a great sounding guitar. This is now my gig player, really, for rock and roll, for like the hard rock thing.
That's yeah, it must be pretty versatile with the humbucker in the back,
Yeah. Well, that's what you can do anything you want. I put a 5-way switch in it. So I can really do a lot with this guitar. That's what I always liked about Strats, is they're very utilitarian. You can do a lot of things with it. I have a couple Les Pauls, but I can't do as much with it. Some people can, but Jeff Beck used to play a Les Paul, but he used to play Telecaster too, and now he plays Strats, But I just like them. I understand it, But this is the one I played on the Barge gig, because this is my, I love this guitar now, and the problem, but it's not my custom shop 58 Strat hanging behind me,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was looking at that. That's a beautiful guitar.
Yeah, that was I had to buy that. There was no question about it.
Yeah, that looks like a beautiful hat.
I was looking for a Sunburst Strat, and 2 New Year's Days ago, I was at a friend's house in Pennsylvania who has a lot of great guitars, and he had a jam going on, and he knew I was looking for a Sunburst Strat, and he gave me an actual real 58 Strat to play, and I was nervous as hell, I'm like, wow. I didn't want to do anything wrong, but he gave me the Strat, and I was playing it. We played Walking by Myself by Freddie King.
I'm not familiar with that one, but
I'm
familiar with Freddie King a little bit.
Yeah, Walking by Myself by Freddie King and some other tunes, And I was playing this and singing, and we had there was another guitar players, and I'm like, this thing is just beautiful. Everything about it is fantastic. So I couldn't get it out of my head, and a couple months went by, and I found this custom shop 58 Relic. And my wife was like, just do it already. Stop talking about it, So I did, and I had it the next day.
There you go. Get the approval. Hey, I got your approval? Okay, I'm going for it.
My wife is my biggest supporter. I'm like, I don't want to spend the money on this. Just do it. I'm like, all right, okay.
That's great. I mean,
She's
my
very
parents were always great supporters of my music. I used to rehearse in the basement. My father would come down and sit on the stairs and listen to us and go, I can't believe you guys aren't famous. You're so much better than these guys that I see on TV. All right, I'd like to thank those of you that are still with us. Thank you for watching the show. Don't forget, click on my picture at the end of this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the little bell so you get notifications so you don't miss a thing. Peace, love, and music for all. Stay tuned for part 2.